Hi, everybody. This is Benny Biffle.
And this is Sammy Schuster.
And you're listening to TV Confidential.
Confidentially.
Hello, gorgeous. Let's check out how you look today. Short and stubby, and my gosh, look how much you weigh. You're pinkish red, got this thing on your head, and whoa, girl, you couldn't look better.
Ed Roberts with a reminder that you can now listen to TV Confidential on your smart speaker just by saying, Alexa, play TV Confidential. Enabling the TV Confidential Alexa skill is easy. To find out how to do it, go to televisionconfidential.com/Alexa. Our colleague Greg Ehrbar recently chatted with Christopher Lennertz. Christopher Lennertz, award-winning producer, composer, and conductor whose numerous contributions to television, film, and video games include Marvel's Agent Carter, ABC's Galavant, the Netflix version of Lost in Space, and the hit movie version of Alvin and the Chipmunks. Christopher Lennertz's latest feature is the animated musical Ugly Dolls, starring Kelly Clarkson, and for which Christopher Lennertz created original songs with Glenn Slater, the lyricist for Disney's Tangled. Ugly Dolls, the movie, is playing in theaters everywhere, while the soundtrack for Ugly Dolls is available wherever music is sold. As we pick up the conversation, Greg says to Christopher Lennertz,
before we get into Ugly Dolls, I want to go over a couple of things. First of all, just briefly, tell me a little of the beautiful story of Christopher Lennertz.
Ooh, the beautiful story. Let's see if I can do that. I'll do that in a nutshell. Well, I mean, the real fun, beautiful story is I grew up with two parents who were teachers on the East Coast. Went to see a band when I was 9, and somebody was playing trumpet. I decided I wanted to play trumpet, and then about 4 years later, at 13, I said, geez, most of my favorite songs have guitar in it. So I switched to guitar and ended up, playing in people's basements and garages and at parties all through high school, and then got serious, went to USC out here in California to basically try to be a studio guitar player and maybe become a member of a band or something like that. And then my sophomore year in college, I ended up sneaking into a recording session for a movie, and I didn't even know what it was. And magically enough, it turns out it was Henry Mancini.
Ah.
And I literally sat there all day, was told not to say a word. I watched and saw him conduct the orchestra and make changes and make producers happy with all different styles of music. And I literally walked out of that session, and the next morning I walked into the registrar's office and said, I'm changing my major. I want to write music for movies. And that was sort of the beginning of the beautiful story, was that I met Henry Mancini. He told me to call him Hank, and I decided that's what I wanted to do. I was lucky because USC has probably one of the top 2, if not the top, film scoring program in the country, and they actually have a major of composition with an emphasis in scoring for motion pictures and television. And so that's what I changed my major to as a sophomore, and I ended up studying with Elmer Bernstein as a senior. He was a brilliant, brilliant man. He certainly was.
And one of the things about those composers that was unique, and only a handful of today's composers seem to do, is they have the ability to embrace melody. And they, what is the word for that? Is it motif?
Yeah, motif. Yeah, leitmotifs is sort of what they, sort of that Peter and the Wolf thing.
Exactly. And Henry Mancini was great at that.
Oh, he was so good at it. Oh, my goodness.
So you could buy an album of Mancini music, and it would be a collection of melodies.
Yep.
And some soundtracks you can still do that with. Each group of characters or each scene has this type of theme to it, and it's not just bum-bum-bum kind of stuff.
Yeah, I love when it really has melodies for all the different characters and all that kind of thing. It's so engaging.
When you work with some of the productions, like you're working with a property that had an existing score, for example, I even have your CD of From Russia with Love, the video game soundtrack.
Right.
Then you're interpolating some of the John Barry themes, correct?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. We used, obviously, the main theme, which was obviously him and the Monty Norman story and all that, but yeah, we used that. We also used the From Russia with Love theme and a couple of the other things, and then I got to write some of my own interweave, but even that was definitely done in his style, and that was the method from the very beginning, which was great, because he's one of my absolute favorites.
But for Lost in Space, is that completely original, or does that incorporate any of the...
No, I get to use John's themes. We so far on the last season, we only used what was actually the third season theme. It's sort of the one that everybody knows. And I worked that in. I have my own new theme, and then I've got the overall theme of John's that I work in. I usually try to work it in at least once or twice an episode, which has been great because he's one of the main reasons I love film music. So it was certainly such an honor to be able to use his themes.
And do you also have, like, the sad do-do-do-do, or the da-da-da-da-da-da-da, or any of that stuff?
We don't use that in season 1, but I'm doing season 2 right now, and it is absolutely possible that we may incorporate that.
You know, it's like Star Trek had that da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Oh, yeah. Well, Star Trek had so many great little themes, too.
You know, so that was as emblematic of those properties as the properties themselves. In fact, I remember once when the very first film version of The Addams Family came out, and they tested it with and without the Vic Mizzy theme, and the audience went insane when the snap, snap came on, and they all snapped their fingers.
Oh, yeah, you can't even make that. As far as I'm concerned, you shouldn't even touch a property like that without using the original theme, I don't think.
Yeah, so there you go. Two of the projects I'm thrilled to talk to you about the most are, and I also met Spike Brandt, who worked on them too, were the animated versions of the classic Capitol Warner Brothers records.
Oh, yeah.
I Taught Putty Tat and Daffy Duck's Rhapsody. I mean, many of us grew up memorizing those.
Oh, me too. Me too. I love that. Oh, just brilliant stuff.
Did you have access to the music of those, or did you have to rebuild those completely?
I had to rebuild them completely, but I was able to use thematic elements from all of those, of course, but I had to sort of reorchestrate and rearrange completely.
Well, it really makes you appreciate how children's records tend to get, and that's sort of the interest that I have in those kind of vintage records of the 20th century. They tend to get dismissed as kind of cutesy and all that, but when you break them down, the brilliance of how intricate those are put together, how fast the lyrics are, how clever they are, and music.
Oh, it's so complex, and there's so much clever complexity to it that you don't even notice.
Oh, well, for those of us who dearly love, and I've actually written extensively about both of them. Thank you for those.
Oh, of course. Oh, it was an honor to be able to do it.
You're listening to Greg Ehrbar's conversation with Christopher Lennertz, award-winning composer of such films as Ugly Dolls. Ugly Dolls, the first movie musical to feature a cast of all pop stars. Among the artists featured in Ugly Dolls are Kelly Clarkson, Pitbull, Nick Jonas, Blake Shelton, and Janelle Monáe. Ugly Dolls, the movie, is playing in theaters everywhere, while the soundtrack for Ugly Dolls is available wherever music is sold. Okay, so then we move on to the latest animated project that you're doing. And you've done some original songs already, but this is the first full original score where you worked on all of the songs.
Exactly.
With Glenn Slater.
Yes, this is the first time I've done a full musical. Yeah.
Glenn Slater's work, for those who don't know and should know, he's one of the cleverest and most inventive. The way he bends words around the lines and stuff, he doesn't wreck the music at the expense of the cleverness, which is really hard to do.
It's very hard to do. It really is. He's brilliant with that kind of stuff. He really is very musical himself.
And the more you hear the lyrics and the songs, the funnier they get, which is also hard to do.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's really true. I think there's so many little nuggets that might take 3 or 4 listens, and then you're like, oh, wait a second, I see what he did there. And it's just brilliant.
One of the best things that not enough people know about, but you can still access, because it's on DVD and download, is both the soundtrack and all the episodes of Galavant.
It was brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, because it was very meta. It kept referring to itself as a show. When it came back for its second season, they sang about that. When it was going to get canceled, they sang about that.
Right.
It was a really, really funny series, and it's the kind of series that if we weren't so buried in content nowadays, I think people, and maybe someday they will realize in retrospect, gee, how come we didn't notice this more when it was on?
Yeah, I hope so. It was really brilliant. It was one of the most fun projects I've been involved in, and and that's where I met Glenn and Alan, and it just, I was like being at school for two full years of just watching them work with that. It was really, really fantastic.
Yeah, I know this is a cliche, but it was like a little movie, like a half-hour movie musical every week.
Every week, yeah, absolutely.
Which is not easy to do also.
Definitely not.
And when you introduce an original score in a feature film, that's also difficult because you don't have a pre-sold audience. It's one thing to take a Broadway show or do a reboot or a remake, or to take a group of pop songs that everybody knows and sprinkle them through a film. But you're creating a brand new group of songs. So that's kind of a daunting task. How do you approach that?
Well, I mean, the interesting thing about it, I'd been wanting to do it for so very long. It's one of the reasons I jumped at the chance to work with Alan on so many things. And I was in musical theater in high school. I was Conrad Birdie and Bye Bye Birdie, and I was in Hello Dolly, and I've always loved musical theater. Always kind of wanted to really get in there. And it's they don't, like, as you mentioned, they don't make a lot of these. So it's really hard to even get a chance to do something like this. So what happened was I had done 2 films, Bad Moms and the sequel to Bad Moms Christmas, for this company, STX, and developed a great relationship with the music department and the head of music, Jason Markey, over there. And he, out of the blue, called me and said, we've got this movie, and it's animated, and we need an opening song. And at this point, the movie wasn't even a musical. And he said, I had lunch with this guy, Glenn Slater, in New York, who I guess would you want to take a crack at an opening song? And so we said yes, and we decided we wrote this song, and the first thing we wrote was "This Song Couldn't Be Better," which is the opening of the film, and everybody loved it. And then they signed our director on, Kelly Asbury, who I had previously worked on The Smurfs with a year and a half ago, and he loves musicals. And so he sat down, heard the song, and he told the producers, well, you know what, we need to make this whole movie a musical. And they said, well, we're not sure yet, but let's see. And so they said, let's do 2 more songs, one for the bad guy and one for the friend who sort of turns things around at the end of Act 2 and is the one who convinces Kelly Clarkson's character to sort of fight the battle. And so we wrote 2 more songs, and they loved those. And at that point, they said, all right, well, now it's a musical. Well, let's go. And so we ended up continuing to write, and we broke down the whole story, and the story was even changing now that we knew it was going to be a musical. And we actually had the great fortune of, at this point, we had gone past, originally Pitbull was the only definitive star we had, and then we got Kelly, and we got Kelly Clarkson, who was absolutely my first choice from the get-go. And then once Kelly fell in line, we ended up getting Janelle Monáe and Blake Shelton and more.
You're listening to Greg Ehrbar's conversation with Christopher Lennertz, award-winning composer of such films as Ugly Dolls. Ugly Dolls, the first movie musical to feature a cast of all pop stars. Among the artists featured in Ugly Dolls are Kelly Clarkson, Pitbull, Nick Jonas, Blake Shelton, and Janelle Monáe. Ugly Dolls, the movie, is playing in theaters everywhere, while the soundtrack for Ugly Dolls is available wherever music is sold. Before we went to break, Christopher was talking about how Ugly Dolls evolved from a movie with just a few songs to a movie that was a full-blown musical, particularly once Kelly Clarkson came aboard. As we pick up the conversation, Christopher is telling Greg,
so once we knew we had Kelly Clarkson and we knew it was going to be a musical, we started really tailoring the story and these songs to go with her. She's such an optimist and such a great, powerful personality, so we started tailoring some songs to go with her. And then quickly, because Kelly signed on, I think we started getting the rest of our cast, which included Blake Shelton and Janelle Monáe and Gigi Rexa and all these great singers. And so we started literally writing songs for these people who I already knew and knew what they could do, and I loved their music. And so we really tailored a lot of their character, their humor, their delivery, and the songs to be what they do best. And we tailored the story so it all makes sense. No one's ever made a movie musical before that stars just pop stars. And so most of the time you have this situation where you're actually dealing with actors who can't sing and trying to figure out a way either around it or a way to kind of make it work. But we had the opposite, where we actually had these amazing singers who everyone already really loved their voices, and now we get to build a story and a group of songs around them, and it was a dream come true.
Well, and in a way, singers are predisposed to acting because they do perform songs.
Exactly. They all sold it they really got it, and they know how to push emotions and how to make people feel. And that's pretty much the same thing as acting. It's just slightly different language. But at the same time, they were all great at it. And Kelly's just lovable, and she just wins your heart over right away in the beginning of the movie. And I think that's one of the things that makes it work so well.
Yeah, and there are some standout songs. There's one that I can't imagine isn't going to be the breakout one.
Well, there's Couldn't Be Better, which is sort of the uplifting full cast one. Couldn't Be Better is in there a lot, and that actually becomes one of the main themes of the movie, even within the score, which was really great to be able to do. And that's what Menken does so well, is to be able to weave the song melodies into the instrumental score, and I was really able to do that on this one, and that was a big plus. I think it really lets the audience get in touch with the characters.
There was one that was very choral, and that came in a bunch of times where the chorus kind of picked up.
Oh, I can tell you, the mythology of the film is that every doll eventually goes to the big world, the real world, and gets chosen by a child to be theirs. And so Moxie, who's Kelly Clarkson's character, starts the film out saying, you know what, today's the day it could happen. And it starts with this thing that says there's a child for every doll and a doll for every child. And then once we get to the Institute of Perfection, which is where Nick Jonas's bad guy character is, and his concept is that, okay, well, the only way you get a child is if you're perfect. And you have to listen to me and I'll show you how to do it, which, of course, we find out later is not the right way. So even there's this constant theme of every doll gets a child, every child gets a doll, and if you're perfect enough, it'll happen. And then by the end of the movie, we wonderfully realize that that's not actually the case. You get a doll by being yourself and by being unique and special. And that's the real message of the movie, and believing in yourself. So we end up using that same refrain from that song, Today is the Day, to keep coming back every time our lead character is thinking about the goal or worrying that it might not happen or even becoming heroic to try to get to the climax. All of those times we get to bring back that theme and say, this is really what the movie's about.
I see. So she thinks that's what she wants.
Yeah.
And
Well, she definitely wants the child, but she comes to the realization that you don't get a child by being perfect. You get a child by being you. And I think that's the real message of the film, is being true to yourself, and there's the real lesson.
Yeah, and that's a really wonderful lesson in this day and age, because kids, more than ever, are under so much pressure. There is this achievement mania going on. We live in a very award and top 10 society nowadays. It's all over the media, all over the social networks and stuff. Everything is, let's choose this over that. Open up Facebook and it says, what's your favorite, what's your least favorite? And,
Right.
and everybody, we have kids, and this, as soon as they were school age, what school should they go to? Should they go to that one or that one? What tests should they take? Should they be tested? Which tests? Every parent is worried about what'll happen, and you're worried about something 20 years away, and so the parents are under pressure, the kids are under pressure, and then you're seeing these images. Let's face it, we see images of perfection in people that don't exist.
They're not real.
No, they're not. But you show that to someone constantly, and you set up a goal that constantly makes people feel inadequate. So here comes,
true. It's really sad.
We'll continue our conversation with Christopher Lennertz after this quick time out here on TV Confidential. Got a product or service that you want our listeners to know about? Become an advertiser or underwriter of TV Confidential and let our brand help promote your brand. For more information, go to televisionconfidential.com/advertise or visit the TV Confidential page at advertisecast.com.
Uber is the mobile app that connects you with a driver for immediate transportation. Request a ride at the tap of a button and you have a driver curbside in minutes. You can choose to be driven in a black car, SUV, or you can choose UberX, the low-cost Uber for a ride in a hybrid or mid-range car. Payment is seamless and cashless. Billed to your card on file with no need to tip. Enter the promo code TV Confidential after you download the app to receive a free first ride up to $20. For more information, go to get.uber.com/go/TV Confidential.
Alexa users, you can now listen to TV Confidential on your smart speaker just by saying, Alexa, play TV Confidential. Enabling the TV Confidential Alexa skill is easy. To find out how to do it, go to televisionconfidential.com/Alexa.
Ham Cam Caricatures will keep the fun rolling at your next party, convention, or event through a live video feed. As friends or colleagues gather around the webcam, I can see them on my screen, and they can view my caricatures come to life on their own screen. The completed black and white drawing will then be emailed to you to print out. Pricing and details are at hamcamcaricatures.com. That's HAMCAMCARICATURES.com.
Buying or selling a home can be one of the most stressful things we'll ever do in life. But it doesn't have to be. And no one knows better than our friends at Front Porch Realty Group. They're a community of realtors serving the Northern Bay Area of California that cares about their clients as individuals first and foremost. Whether you're a first-time buyer or looking to lease or sell your property in the Bay Area, Front Porch Realty Group will help you through this important transition by providing you with the right information for your situation while lessening the pain. They also work with a network of realtors throughout California who provide the same high caliber of customer service. Call Front Porch Realty Group at 415-886-7411 for a realtor referral near you. You can also visit their website, frontporchrealtygroup.com, for more information on the services they provide, including upcoming workshops and seminars. For more information, call 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com. Front Porch Realty Group. They'll find the solution that works best for you.
Hi, everybody. How are you? This is Julie Budd, and you're listening to TV Confidential.
I never held my hand out and asked for something free. I got pride I could roll out for miles in front of me.
Ed Roberts with a reminder that film and TV actor Patrick Kilpatrick will join us at the top of the hour. We hope you'll stay tuned for that. In the meantime, you are listening to Greg Ehrbar's conversation with Christopher Lennertz. Christopher Lennertz, award-winning producer and composer for such films and TV series as Marvel's Agent Carter, ABC's Galavant, the Netflix version of Lost in Space, and the hit movie version of Alvin and the Chipmunks. Christopher Lennertz's latest feature film is the animated musical Ugly Dolls. Ugly Dolls starring Kelly Clarkson, and for which Christopher Lennertz created original songs along with Glenn Slater, the lyricist for Disney's Tangled. Ugly Dolls, the movie, is playing in theaters everywhere, while the soundtrack for Ugly Dolls is available wherever music is sold. Before we went to break, Greg and Christopher were talking about how the core message of Ugly Dolls is the importance of being yourself and not getting caught up with images of so-called perfection. As we pick up the conversation.
See, here comes a film that's telling kids that, to me, these ugly dolls are adorable. I mean, I like them better.
Right, of course, because they're more. Well, that's the thing. It's true. It's this idea of, you know what? The ones who all look the same are not as interesting.
Right.
It's all the ones who are different. Every single one of them is different. They're different sizes, different colors, different shapes, and it's really sort of it's really a metaphor for our culture. It's like, you know what? Everyone comes in different sizes and shapes, and taller, bigger, rounder, skinnier, whatever. They have glasses, they don't. And it's really that makes the world great. And all of the social media, because they're just trying to sell things. They're trying to sell products that say, oh, you can look or act or perform more like this person or that. It's playing against that. But the reality is unique is actually the most interesting. And being yourself is absolutely the way to get rid of those expectations and be happy. I have two daughters, and that was what was so great about writing these songs was I felt like I was able to write things all along the way that I feel like this is what I want to tell them. I want them to know that they don't have to dress like this person or act like this person or wear these clothes or be this shape. I just want them to be themselves and be happy and follow their dreams, regardless of what school they go to or what their major is or how much money. None of that matters. I just want them to be happy, and I think that's really why this movie is so special. And and it's wrapped up in a very fun package with fun songs and bright colors. But what I'm really hoping is that all around the country, parents and grandparents bring their kids to this show and not only love it and sing along, but then they go home and sit down for dinner together and they turn off their tablets and they turn off their cell phones and they say, hey, you know what? You remember when that one guy bullied the lead character, but then the other girl stood up for it? Did that ever happen in your school? What did you do? You know, you should, if anybody, if you see that happening, how would you feel? You know, can you empathize with them and you remember what that's like and make sure you go to bat for them and you really support people for being themselves. And I think if that can happen, then that's the most important thing this movie could possibly bring.
Absolutely. And you know something, you've just defined for me something that I feel really strongly about, that is a communication that is being sent out to kids constantly, and that is the concept of strength. You hear a lot about this character is very strong, that character is very strong, and sometimes strength is not necessarily being able to kick somebody or be angry or be aggressive or be humorless, or sometimes strength is keeping your head up and being positive in the face of tremendous struggle. Or
yeah, absolutely.
Or just keeping moving forward at all when things are at their hardest. That's strength. And to be able to turn away from the crowd that is outvoting you and walk over to the person who's being picked on, that is strength. That's tough. That's superpowers. That outweighs any superhero. To be able to be strong enough and tough enough to be able to have the guts to say, don't pick on that kid, because that is really hard to do.
It's fun. So the song Unbreakable is really all about that. And in the movie, Janelle Monáe's character, Mandy, she's sort of insecure because she doesn't have perfect eyesight and she wears glasses, which you're not allowed to do in perfection. And she sees all the other perfect dolls picking on our leads, on our ugly dolls. And she comes and she sings this duet with Kelly about that, and she basically says, you know what, I'm going to go over and sit at their table. I'm going to go over and be with them and cheer them on and be myself. And really it's that scene of leaving as you say, the cool kids table and walking over to the person sitting alone and saying, hey, how are you? You know, and can I help? I mean, that to me is the biggest courage that anyone can ever have.
It is.
Like, that's pure heart and courage.
And it's strength of character, and it's something that adults still deal with. And when parents and kids do sit at the table and talk about that, they can also say to their kids, hey, you know what? That cool kids table never goes away, because it's the conference room table, it's the lunchroom table, it's the party and the clique over there and the clique over there. It happens all through your life, and you'll always be faced with that. Do I talk to the person everybody's shunning? Do I deal with the person who is going to get me the least in my career? Do I just say hello to somebody that I don't know as I pass them in the hallway? You know, that kind of thing. Do I let a door shut in somebody's face? I mean, just common nice. If that message comes through, that's true strength. It's not necessarily the message that's always getting through, and that's a great and powerful thing.
And, you know, as a writer, you know, however many films I've done, however many, you know, I've been working at this, 25 years and whatever, I am more proud of that message than just about anything, other than my kids. Then, you know, I'm so proud in this year, in 2019, to be able to put that message out with the, holding hands with Kelly Clarkson and people like that and saying, look, this is important. This is what kids need to hear. This is what kids need to know, and know that it's true, that you don't need to be like everybody else, and you don't need to live up to someone else's standards, just your own. That is something that that can change the world. I know it's just a little kids movie, but that is more important than anybody ever realizes. It's so, so important.
You don't change the world, you just change little aspects of the world, and that's where you make your mark. And my son's learning to drive, and he makes mistakes, and he said, I might fail. I said, then go and fail, but you'll take it again. You only fail if you never take the test. You can't be perfect. I go out every day on the freeway and I make mistakes, and I've been driving for decades. It's just life. If you fail, you just fail.
You're listening to Greg Ehrbar's conversation with Christopher Lennertz, award-winning composer of such films as Ugly Dolls. Ugly Dolls, the first movie musical to feature a cast of all pop stars. Among the artists featured in Ugly Dolls are Kelly Clarkson, Pitbull, Nick Jonas, Blake Shelton, and Janelle Monáe. Ugly Dolls, the movie, is playing in theaters everywhere, while the soundtrack for Ugly Dolls is available wherever music is sold.
As a musician, one thing I'd like to point out to people, because I believe in that phrase about in true art there is imperfection, because humans make art, so it's not perfect.
Yeah, of course.
There's a classic scene in the MGM movie Bandwagon where Fred Astaire and Sid Charisse dance to Dancing in the Dark. And if you listen carefully to the trumpet player, he has a sour note when he hits the high note. The music really builds, and he hits the wrong note.
Huh.
Now, this is MGM, the biggest studio in Hollywood. They would have done a retake, or they would have used an alternate or something else. But obviously, they thought this was the best, most heartfelt takes, and the best performance and this was one of the best trumpeters in Hollywood.
Of course.
And so the imperfection didn't matter. The imperfection was part of the greatness of his performance. And I love to point that out to people, because everything nowadays, the only thing that's perfect is the slices of cheese in the Kraft singles.
And those aren't even really cheese, I don't think.
And they're not even cheese.
Well, I have a quote on my Facebook page that's one of my favorites, and it's Miles Davis, who said, "There are no wrong notes."
Yeah, that's true.
And that's it. There just aren't. The note you want to play is the right note.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the beauty of jazz. It comes from inside. And music itself. How can everybody see this and where it's playing nationwide?
It opens nationwide on wide release, so you should be able to see it anywhere. Anywhere that's not playing Avengers. Every screen that doesn't have Avengers on it, hopefully will have us on it. And it's playing wide. You should be able to see it anywhere. And the soundtrack album, you can already download all the songs or listen to them on Spotify or anything like that. You can start getting familiar with the music. Hopefully people just go see it and get the same message out of it and the same joy out of it that I had writing it.
So the soundtrack album, you'll be able to also get it, I assume, on CD?
Yep, absolutely.
Will there be a score only?
I think that's going to follow, yeah. I think the score only will come out. The songs are on the first album, and I think there'll be a deluxe or a score album probably about a month after.
What about a lovely vinyl?
Let's hope. I think a lot of it depends on how the movie does, but I would certainly love to see some vinyl out there.
Okay.
Certainly be colorful.
Oh, I love vinyl.
Oh, I know, because it sounds so great.
It does. It does. You know what I've noticed is stuff that has been done digitally and remastered and then put on vinyl is the best of both worlds, because I've gotten some stuff that is old analog, but then they've taken it and they've restored it, and then you play the new vinyl and it blows you away.
It blows you away. Yeah, because it's moving. It's actual movement.
That's right.
It's just it's not just ones and zeros. It's actual movement. It's great.
Yeah, it's tactile.
I love the album art and the liner notes.
It's true. So that's coming, and then we can look forward to more exciting scores from you, and hopefully we'll talk again about that, your next projects.
Absolutely.
And all that. And of course, the Ugly Dolls 2, The Reckoning. And
let's hope so, exactly. I hope. I really do. I would love to do it again, certainly.
Okay. Well, gee, it was a pleasure talking to you, and hopefully we'll be talking again soon.
You too, I'm sure you will. Anytime you want, you just let us know.
Patrick Kilpatrick will join us when we come back for hour number 2 of TV Confidential. Stay with us.
If you haven't been listening to TV Confidential, this is who you're missing.
Michelle Nichols, Adrienne Barbeau,
Leonard Maltin,
Joyce Bulifant,
Peter Onorati,
Judy Norton,
Ken Berry,
Rhonda Shear, Michelle Lee, Jacqueline Smith,
Lou Antonio,
Shirley Jones,
And many, many more of your favorite celebrities and people behind the scenes in the world of television. That's TV Confidential. Every week on this station and every day online at televisionconfidential.com.
Accredited by Guinness World Records, welcome to Archival Television Audio Incorporated. A peerless TV soundtrack archive, preserving the audio from television's first 3 decades, the 1950s, 60s, and 70s, the golden and silver age of television.
For more information, go to atvaudio.com.
Want a free first ride with Uber? Uber, the mobile app that connects you with a ride at the touch of a button in minutes. Enter promo code TV Confidential after you download the app to receive your first free ride up to $20. For more information, go to get.uber.com/go/TV Confidential.
We have a few minutes, enough time to tell you about our new subscription program called Confidant Access. Confidant Access, featuring additional monthly rewards. As a TV Confidential Confidant, you will receive a brief preview of each week's edition of TV Confidential before it is broadcast, exclusive access to audio streaming or downloadable MP3s of the last 5 years of audio archives of TV Confidential, featuring more than 400 hours of interviews, lively discussions, and inside information. You'll also receive the opportunity to email questions in advance for possible inclusion in guest interviews, plus exclusive access to classic editions of TV Confidential that are not otherwise part of the current 5-year archive. Plus, approximately once a month, Confidants will receive special access to the hosts of TV Confidential via Skype, plus Confidant-only access to bonus content and more. To find out how you can become a TV Confidential Confidant, go to televisionconfidential.com and click the purple Become a TVC Confidant button. Televisionconfidential.com, click the purple button that says Become a TVC Confidant.
This portion of TV Confidential is brought to us by our friends at Front Porch Realty Group, the community of realtors in the Northern Bay Area of California that is committed to finding the solution that is best for their clients. Whether you're a first-time home buyer or looking to sell or lease your property in Northern California, call 415-886-7411 or visit frontporchrealtygroup.com for more information on how they can help you.